Hey guys, on this Talk About Games, we're talking about Savage Resurrection. Thanks to S2 Games for sponsoring this video.
This game is a FPS, first-person shooter, real-time strategy game. It's kind of like a combination of Warcraft and any first-person shooter. It's a really interesting concept in that the game is divided up into these two different styles of gameplay. Now you should know also right off the bat is that the game is online multiplayer only. There's no single player here.
Yeah, you can play a test mode where you're playing against bots, but the gameplay doesn't really change. And one of the things that's interesting about this game is whereas a lot of games that looked at the RTS genre and tried to make it differently went the MOBA route where you had the heroes, this game's all about the grunts. It's all about the basic units in the game.
So the game has melee and it has shooter aspects to it. You can, use it's a keyboard game too, by the way. It's not controller supported.
Yeah, I don't think controllers
as far as I know.
Are supported.
Actually, I did read something about a Steam controller's support, but I think it's mainly you're playing the game with a keyboard. So if you want to use your melee attacks, you're going to hit the 1 key, and you're going to have like an axe or sword, something like that. You hit 2, and then you're using your different gun weapons. There is a menu system in that you can go through and you choose all the different types of guns that you can have, and you can select them, and then you can also get ammo, and that would be the third key.
The big thing about this game is it really has the two modes. There's one player, or AI, is the commander, who's playing a top-down, real-time strategy looking game. And at the beginning of the game, the two forces, one is called the beasts, and one is called the humans.
Yeah.
It's basically orcs and humans.
Yeah,
they start with basic units, and the commander is trying to build up in the tech tree so that you can do different things, so that there's guns available, there's more powerful unit types available, that sort of thing. It starts as this basic fight where you're doing the third-person melee attacks and the first-person shooter attacks. The humans, their strategy is based around blocking. The beasts, the strategy is based around dashing. And you're basically trying to protect the resources just like it would be in a real-time strategy game.
The best way to really explain this game is imagine Warcraft, if you played Warcraft. The little ground units, well, you can do that. That's the first-person shooter mode of the game. And then another player, so maybe Ryan is doing the other mode where he's doing the Warcraft mode, but it's a little weird because it's kind of like the game it's divided up into two different styles of gameplay, which is really different, but it's kind of cool.
It's weird because the commander is really only controlling the peons and the building.
Yeah.
But there's a balance because if you want to spawn with a more powerful unit, that's going to take money from the team too. So you need to protect the resource gathering units, which the commander is controlling. But then you want to play as the more powerful units. And one thing I noticed about the game flat out is that first level free warrior unit you have is quickly outclassed by the units you pay for. So the basic unit, the basic warrior unit, and then the tech up unit, which is either the savage on the human side, or I think it's the brood on the
beast
side, is so much more powerful than the base unit that if you get into a resource deficit and you can't build them, or your commander doesn't immediately go for that tech up, you're going to be at this huge disadvantage.
Well, one of the things I found is when you're a human, there's limited ammo, so you're firing a little bit and you run out of ammo, and then you have to go to the melee attacks, and the melee attacks, for me at least, I found that they weren't that great. A group of beasts come over to you and they start just wrecking you, and you're just like instantly dead. So if you're not playing this game with other people, it's a very like cooperative, team-oriented game. If you're basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you're by yourself, you're fucked.
The beasts are really heavily focused on the melee. They have this whole, their main tech tree is enhancing their melee attacks, making it restore health, making it deal poison damage, that sort of thing. And then on the human side, it's all about the bow and arrow and the crossbow and all of that.
Which I found to not be all that great.
But, I mean, they're okay, but compared to being able to restore health when I hit things, it's way worse. It's very difficult to handle the imbalance. But the way you overcome it is you always need to have RTS thinking. Even when you're a grunt on the ground, Would you ever play Warcraft or StarCraft and send one unit to the enemy base? You would never do that. If you play this game as one of the fighters on the ground and run at the enemy base, you'll die.
You need to be paying attention to what your commander's telling you, essentially.
Yeah.
If you're not going along with the rest of the group, you're screwed.
Yeah, and if your commander is spending all the money, you're going to have poor units and you're not going to be able to succeed. If your commander is not playing the resource management game and harvesting the resources, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, so you really all basically have to work together. If you're not working together, if you don't have a good team, you're not going to do well.
And that's why this game has a very high skill cap, because if you're just, I'm going to play this game, I'm going to run around, do whatever, you're just done. You have to know what's going on.
This is a game for very hardcore gamers. If
yeah.
you have a good group, this could be an awesome game, but you really need to play with people that know what the hell they're doing.
I think the way that I would want to play this game is with a team, because there's basically 3 or 4 types of units. Not just, it's a stronger unit, it's different. There's healers, there are siege units, there are regular attackers.
I mean, in its very nature, they're telling you, when you read anything about the game, they're saying you should have a team when you're playing this game. It's not like they're not saying that. This is the type of game that it is. We're just letting our audience know, before you go jumping into this game, you're not going to want to really play this by yourself.
To bring it back to other games, this isn't a game you solo queue for. This is a game where you get 4 friends and you dive in and play. Because if, let's say that you want to be a healer, and everybody's running all in different directions. If you're a healer by yourself, you're done. Let's say that the enemy is building lots of towers to defend their base.
Oh god, towers.
A human running up to a tower or a single unit running up to a tower,
you're just done.
Is fucking dead.
And that's what happened to me the first time I played it. I ran up to the tower, I just got instantly destroyed. And also the towers have this really, really, really long distance that they can fire. And you need to know that you have, the human side has its own...
The siege tanks.
Yeah, the siege tanks. And you have to know to use that against the towers.
And that's where you go back to the teamwork, because the siege tanks can't protect themselves. They're just to destroy the towers. Yeah, you might get lucky and pick someone off running at you, but...
It's not what it's for.
That's not what it's for. Yeah. It's for... You build a siege tank, you send it up, you have it protected by your guys, and you destroy the towers.
Now, it should be noted that this is not the first game in the series. The first was Savage from 2003. Then there was the second game, Savage 2, which came out, I think, 2008 or 2009, something like that.
So it's been a while.
So this is the third game in the series. This is also, from what I've heard at least, they were making this more like the first game in the series, where the second game in the series was a little different.
Basically, where it's out now, if the humans get buffed a little bit, and if they make it a little more clear what the team elements are, like the commands that the commander's giving, they make that a little more clear, it's going to be a much more fulfilling experience. Because if you play this game expecting to just run through and kill everything and be Rambo, you're going to run out of ammo, you're going to run out of health, and you're going to die.
So this is a game that has a lot of promise. I could see this game possibly becoming an esport, but as it is right now, I think that they have to do a lot of work. The development team has to do a lot of work to get this game to be more balanced. You can't have the beasts being 1,000 times stronger than the humans. I mean, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and I like the idea that the humans are ranged attack based.
I do too.
I like that idea, but when there's this gigantic tusked demon thing running at you, and he's jumping across the map at high speed, and you have a block that...
The block seemed pretty ineffective. I think they need to do something to make the block a little bit more useful.
The block is...
You can, not to say you can't do it, you can block things. When we blocked some stuff, but it's not that good.
Yeah, I mean, I was in situations where I was playing as the beasts, and I had a guy block me, and it's like, oh, he blocked me. Oh, I'm hitting you again. You're done. It's over.
Like the block helped once, but then you're dead. Yeah.
This game reminded me of a game I played as a kid that I really liked, and that was the remake of Battlezone that came out. It was
the remake of the original Atari game?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was cool, because in the remake, it was the U.S. versus the Russians. but in space. So imagine if the Cold War continued out in the space, and you were building all these like vehicle construction facilities to build these like flying tanks, and you get upgrades to the tanks and stuff. And you know, I played it. I was in like a clan or a guild in it. Like I was pretty like hardcore.
Yeah.
And this was like late elementary school for me.
Right.
And it was so much fun.
Late 90s.
Yeah. This game made me think a lot about the fun I had playing that. And it's cool going back to that. Now, the one thing that was interesting about that game is you could switch between the commander role and the gunner role. And I think in this game, being stuck as the commander for the whole time, it's almost like you're like on babysitting duty where you want to be out. And let me tell you, in this game, you live and die by your commander. If your commander is crappy, you're not going to have the money. Like, imagine if you're playing Warcraft and the peons aren't going in the gold mine. Well, then you're going to have all the weak units and you're done. Like, when I was playing the commander, I felt so much pressure on me. I'm like, oh, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. Do we really need the fire guns? Do we really need the lightning guns? What do we need? There was definitely a lot of pressure, but I don't know, I kind of got used to it. It was interesting to see RTS units moving in like unpredictable ways.
It's definitely very, very different. There aren't many games that I've played that are like this. It's a very interesting concept. It seems like, I mean, like you said, you came up with Battlezone, but there's not a hell of a lot of games that are like this. And I think that it's cool that they're trying to sort of branch out and do something, which is sort of like a hybrid between two gaming genres, which is a kind of a cool idea. It just needs a little work.
And it definitely differentiates itself from the MOBA games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, you know, you've kind of said that the MOBAs, you like the traditional RTS gameplay. You're not really into the MOBAs.
Not so much.
Does this help bridge the gap more than like League of Legends did, or like Vainglory, or those games we played?
In a way, yes, because of the fact that, I mean, the first thing I saw of this game was a little bit of video, and the fact that I saw that it was you could do this hack and slash stuff, which I like this kind of games. I was like, oh, okay, that looks cool, and that part was pretty cool. At least when I was the beast.
Yeah.
You know, when you're the human and then the guy just comes up and just kills you, it's like, all right. But if they could just balance it out a little bit more and make it a little more even, I think they'd really have something.
Just key recommendations: play with the team. Make sure that the guy who's your commander is your RTS guy who can do the resource management. Make sure that you tech up out of the simplest units as quickly as possible. And
yeah, that was the other big balancing issue, is that, you know, you have, if you're level 1 and then the other team is level 2 or level 3, it's over.
Yeah, if you have like the base unit, yeah, definitely there's a huge difference.
But I think that that's not something right now that the player is, it's really the player's fault. I think the game, that's the main thing. The game, they need to fix that so that level 2, see, it seems like level 2 is level 10.
Yeah. Like the second unit up, the non-free unit is like so much better. The other thing I noticed is that this game does have a minor creeping element where you can attack NPC. There's like deer that you can hit.
Oh yeah,
to get
and you get like little coins and stuff. It's like Mario Brothers there for a second.
I think that one thing that MOBAs do is they make those battles challenging and they make the rewards better. I would love if there was like
a reward system.
A reward system like. Oh, if you go into this temple on the map, you can unlock like a big enemy that helps fight. Like the type of things you see in MOBAs, having just like a couple deer or whatever sitting there that you get a couple coins from, that's nice, but it could be much better, and other games have done that a lot better.
Yeah, I do think that the game had really nice graphics.
It does, definitely.
It's a very nice looking game. The concept is fairly fresh. It seems like it's an interesting concept.
One thing I do have to say is that the game's out today. It's $15, which it's definitely $15 worth of fun.
Oh,
you know, it's not a $60 title.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have a couple friends, it's $15.
Why not?
Why not? Check it out. It's different.
Yeah, give it a shot.